Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. If you are wondering why my voice sounds different, it is because I have the blessed health event. I think that's all you're allowed to say on YouTube. So you guys can figure out the rest. I have a little present that my wife brought home from the treat from my daughter's chemo treatments. And so we are tired. We are tired, but I wouldn't miss a Sunday. It'll probably be abbreviated because I don't think I'm going to be interested to see how long my voice can last. But I also want to make sure to help Ashley out with the kids. So super excited to be here for a normal Sunday. I won't be doing a lot of shouting, I don't think anyway. But didn't want to have a week go by where I didn't get a chance to spend time with y'all. So excited to be here. I will try to remember to mute my mic. Dion is the man when it comes to mic muting. I'm horrible at it. So I apologize in advance. You guys will get tired of hearing me clear my throat, I'm sure. And I apologize for. So, but super excited to be here for Sunday. Get through a lot of stuff. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the market. Very excited to know that I finished my 9 property refi. I've not signed yet, but all of the appraisals are in. Yeah, I only have a few properties left to refi. And so really excited about that. But here to answer your questions. I didn't really come prepared to talk about anything other than, again, I don't give advice. I just tell you exactly what I'm doing. And then you guys make the decision of if that's right for you or not. But for me, I've seen this coming. Mike Zuber has seen it coming. We've seen this coming for months and months and months. I've spent the last year completely going through my entire portfolio, creating refinance opportunities for almost every property I have. So with the exception of, I think 4 properties, we've refied everything. And the stuff that we didn't refi, we still did a rate refi on, which means that we didn't actually excuse me, we didn't actually need to go for an appraisal. All we did was a rate mod, which is something possible to do on commercial stuff. You can work with your bank usually on commercial stuff. And so, yeah, so that's the story, but I'll jump in with questions. I'm going to try and be fast and direct with the questions so I don't get too far behind, because I have no idea how long my voice is going to last or how long I'll be able to sit upright, quite frankly. The back pain is real. The exhaustion is real. Thankfully, we don't have anything sinus wise, but yeah, so the family's dealing with that great health event that we've seen grasp the world in the last couple of years, which was kind of crazy because we've been in quarantine since Labor Day weekend. So we've been in quarantine basically for 6 coming up on 7 months. And so it was really disappointing to have people start feeling worse and have people get sick and then take the test and realize that everyone had it. We're just a little bit of a demoralizing moment. It certainly tests your faith, but we're blessed. We're blessed to have not gotten it really bad. I don't think. We're 4 days in. So like I said, blessed to be here. We'll spend some time together and talk some real estate. So good morning, Janet. Good morning. We're doing well. Baby's doing well. All tested positive this last week. She's doing really well in her treatments. They might push her off for 1 week for her next treatment just because of the current health situation of the household. But she's doing well. So thank you guys for always asking how the baby's doing, and Janet especially. I know you always ask, so thank you. And so what are my thoughts on the massive market shifts coming? Yeah, I would like to listen to my opinion. So that's really what I put in the caption today, just because I believe, I think that I think the massive market shifts coming is, I think everybody's focusing too much on rate hikes. And I think people need to focus not just on the rate hikes, but the Fed balance sheet being tapered. the Fed balance sheet being tapered, for those of you who don't know, they're coming in there. They're the ones making the market. They're the ones saying basically, guys, we'll spend $120 billion a month. Okay. So they're the ones making the market. They're buying $120 billion a month of paper. Well, what happens when they taper and they just stop buying? Do they stop buying all at once? I doubt it. Do they start buying less and taper? Sure, probably. But what happens? Who makes up that gap? Other foreign governments, Wall Street, maybe, because they look at it and say, hey, you know what? This is a safe haven. And if we're potentially going to be at war with what's going on with over there in Russia and Ukraine, it's impossible to say. I don't know. I'm not a military strategist, and I have no idea how credible the threat is. It's not what this channel is about. So what I'm really kind of overly looking at, or what I'm really focused mostly on, is creating deals and creating opportunities that still are cash flow heavy, fixed rate debt, which, by the way, my fixed rate debt is now gone from, so I closed on those refis at 4%, which is just, I don't think I'll ever see that again. But if I do, I'll refi. If I see 3.5 or 3, yeah, probably 3.5, I might refi again, depending on how soon that is. And so I think the massive shift that's coming is, I think it's not so much about just about watching them hike rates. I think it's very much about watching how they taper. Because if there's no market, or if the auction goes poorly and essentially people are wanting to see a better yield, then that's going to force rates up. So that's what I think that everybody needs to, I believe that's how that works. But I think I'm not the economist, but I think what really is the biggest problem is, are there going to be enough buyers for that paper? And if there are, then I think it will stay, largely status quo with the rate hikes being in there. Keep in mind, the market already thinks it's 0.50 coming, and now there's rumor that it might only be 0.25. It's impossible to play that game. So the only game that I play is, where am I at right now? What am I buying right now? What's that return on capital going to be right now for the money that I'm putting in? And making sure that I'm getting 30-year fixed rate debt. That's why I passed on a 12 unit that I was offered. Not interested. The deal was not that good. The cap rate was not that good. The return on capital wasn't particularly that good. And I believe that in 5 years, I'm going to be facing a massive rate hike, because I believe over the next 5 years, I think rates will be significantly higher. That's what I believe. So that's what I believe is the massive change coming in the market. I think is more than the rate hike. I think it's the tapering. Good morning, Don. Good morning. Good to see you. Invest to Wealth. Good morning. Good morning. Dion. Hey man, Dion, how you doing, pal? Harry Hunter. Good morning. Don, what are your thoughts on mini self-storage? I love it. I love mini self-storage. I think what you'll find is the most expensive part to that is the doors. I love mini self-storage. I would absolutely do it. The problem in my area is that, so here's what you'll find in a lot of cases is doing the work, finding the land, then getting it permitted, then getting it built and developed. Those are all a ton of steps. But what's really cool is that there's a lot of companies that know that how painful that is, and they'll just go around and they'll just start buying up after you've finished. So I know that there were a bunch of places around me. There were probably 6 unique self-storage places around me, 6 unique. What was really interesting is that in the course of a year and a half, maybe 2 years, 5 out of the 6 sold out. 5 out of the 6 sold out. It's unbelievable. If you can hear my son in the background, he's clearly not having the best day. But 5 out of the 6 sold out. What's really interesting is 1 held on. Guess what just happened this last week? They gave up. They gave up. They must have gotten an absolute massive payout. Excuse me, massive payout. Had to have had a massive payout because they weren't on the plan. They weren't on the plan to get out. They stuck when the other 5 left. And I know that those places paid a fortune. I also know that not only did they pay a fortune, but that subsequently Now it's down to 2 vendors in the market. And guess what they're doing? They're having fun messing with us with rates, because I do have a storage unit because of all of our equipment. What's really interesting is we saw an average for a 10 by 20 go from 125 to 199 in the course of maybe 6 months to a year. So Don, to answer your question, I love storage units. It's absolutely something I'm considering that I would get into. I've already done all the research. And then there's a likelihood of then a sellout on the other side. Biggest challenge right now is what the requirement is around all the pavement and utilities there, depending on what level of storage you're going to do. Right now, real road that carries utility is running almost $1,000 a foot finished, if it's got curb or anything like that in it. So it's just like anything else. It's just like anything else. Anything that I would get like that, I would wait and I would develop over time. Just like some of the properties I purchased them knowing exactly what they are, knowing that I can get the yield that I need, the return on capital that I need right now. But that I can get so much more when I start to make those turns. I'm waiting to make those turns on those properties until after the economy has gone into recession. I believe that a recession is going to happen. I believe that there's going to be a housing correction, not a crash. And it's not like I'm enlightened now and then all of a sudden I agree with all these crash videos. I still don't agree with any of them. There's going to absolutely be a correction. There has to be, but it's not based on price. It's going to be based on a combination of all the different factors, inflation. It's going to be payment. It's going to be a number of different things. So it's not only one thing that you look at. I think Mike Zuber did a great video last night regarding, kind of the metrics to watch, which is affordability. The challenge with affordability is it takes all those things into account for single family homes. It's tougher to figure it out for multis, for 2s, 3s, and 4s. But again, this is why I love the multi strategy. If somebody in the single family house stops paying, it's not like some of the children are going to start paying. If you ever in a duplex, largely speaking, for me, one duplex might not cover the whole rent, but it covers a pretty large, or might not cover the whole mortgage, but it covers a pretty large portion of it. So it drastically mitigates my risk. Same with 3s, same with 4s, same exact thing. So that's kind of my viewpoint on, what we're looking at for kind of the massive changes coming and kind of how I've mitigated my risk. I'm the dominator of duplexes. I've got a ton of them. I think it's 20 duplexes or 18 or I don't know. We just closed a few. So I think it's 20. I think it's 20 duplexes, but I love duplexes. I love the model. I love duplexes. And again, please forgive me. It's a little bit foggy up there. Yeah, it's a little bit foggy up there. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Crimson Knight. Oof, that sucks. Yeah, it kind of does. I don't leave out any questions that make you very riled up. I appreciate it. Here to help though. I put a 1.2 acre property under contract. Cool. Yeah, Don. Like I said, I really like the game. I really do. The thing to remember though, and keep in mind, in the last Great Recession, most of those places went down to as low as 55 or 60% occupancy. Okay. That's a big hit. Now, the recourse that they have is that when people stop paying, you can start filing the notices, but then you have to go to public auction with the materials. That's the whole birth of the Storage Wars show. That's when it started, was back then. That's when all of a sudden, I remember back then, I remember going to auctions in like 04 and 05. Auctions rarely ever happened. And when they did, there were 10 people there, tops. In 9, 10, and 11, after that show had broken and after that started to become a thing on TV, I kid you not, I went to a couple where had to have been 50 to 100 people, like just a packed group. And stuff was selling for crazy money. And you would just look at it and you're like, I don't see all the value that they see in there. And you'd see lockers going for $3,000 and $4,000. And yeah, I mean, you can gamble, I guess, but yeah, it wasn't my game. So That's the only thing I think that scares me about the potential for lack of occupancy, people not paying their bills. And then when you have to put it out to auction, usually the auction houses that then carry that, they get a majority of those proceeds. So it's tough for you to make up on it because there's plenty of lockers that might only go for $50 or $100 and they take all of that. So yeah, I like it as a long-term strategy. I think so long as it's diversified, like I know Don, you're doing a bunch of other stuff like, building fourplexes and you already have rental units. I think as part of a portfolio, I love it. I think as the only thing, I think right now there's a little bit of risk because the cost of building, the cost of land, the cost of all of that stuff and development of it is super, super high. And I think you might be done just in time for us to be in recession and people stop paying those bills. So I think as a long-term strategy and part of your portfolio, I think if it's something that you can afford to do, I know it's something that I've looked at too. So I don't hate the strategy at all. I actually like it. Matt Bittner. Good morning, Matt. Do you ever do any driving for dollars? Oh yeah, I do. I still drive for dollars now. No joke. No joke. In fact, what's really funny is I got a driving for dollars letter in the mail on a property that I own. I kind of told my contractors, I was like, hey guys, we got to do something about this. If they think that this thing is so dilapidated that it's ready to be purchased like that, we gotta do some work. And then come to find out, I think they had driven by on the day where we had 2 dumpsters out front where we're cleaning out a unit that we'd evicted somebody and they left all their trash behind and it was a mess. So my guess is they probably drove by that day and I was like, okay, oh, that makes sense. So yeah, I absolutely drive for dollars. Yep. That's something I won't ever give up on, ever. John Doe, good morning. Hey, good morning. Harry Hunter question. Is there a better or easier way to cash out refi than using non-QM lenders to get 15 or 30-year fixed money? You can talk to your bank. So Harry, in the interest of full disclosure, I had that conversation with non-QM. I talked to multiple companies. Steve Dow was one of them. I like Steve. I like what the program offered. It was a good rate at the time. I think it was 3.99. Well, now they're 5. I think they're 5 1/8, and you have to buy that down 2 points. It's a lot of money. But I talked to my bank and I said, I want to stay working with you guys. And this is all true. I want to stay working with you guys. I love work. I love the relationship that we have. I love how you've helped me grow my business and I'm an important part of your business. You guys continue to help me impact the community, which they do. If they didn't lend on some of these deals, I don't know that there's another lender that would do those deals, or certainly quickly. It certainly could over time because I would just, go to that other company and change my relationships. But these guys were in it. They're in it with me. And so what I really appreciate about them is I talked to my favorite banker in the whole wide world, Tina. And she's a boss. She is a boss. She is an absolute boss. I absolutely adore her. Super hard worker, fellow landlord. And just since the day we met, it was like we were meant to do business together. And I actually started working with her boss, John, who's a fantastic banker as well. But started working with her and it was just like, yep, we're supposed to do business together. And so what was really cool was we had talked about it and I said, this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to start going on QM with all these deals. And likely I'm going to then refinance a bunch of these deals into non-QM so I can get 30-year fixed rate debt. Because at the time I was at 3.75 commercial debt, which resets every 5 years or 7 years or 10 years. So I had the conversation with her and I just said, is there any opportunity that something can be done? Can anything like what non-QM is providing, can anything like that be created from like a portfolio perspective? Because I know the bank can't then sell it to Fannie Freddie. I don't want it to be subject to commercial rates and terms, meaning just the rate and the term of the adjustable after 5 years or prime plus or whatever it ends up being. And she was like, she's like, let me position it to senior leadership and see what they have to say. God bless her. She came back and she said, I think we're going to have a program for you. And so the program has some stipulations to it. I won't cover all those, but I'm able to get 30-year fixed rate debt through my bank and on portfolio loans. And the rest is history for me. So I got what I wanted without having to go through that, craziness. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so I don't know if there's a better way for you, but I would talk to your local bank. If you have a relationship or a number of deals already with your local bank, I would have that conversation with them. Yep. Honestly, that's what I would do. Don, hope you get well soon. I appreciate that. Yeah. Man, those chills, that back pain, that is no joke. That is no joke. But I'll totally take it because Eliana's been great. So I totally will take that if my little bean can stay good. Crimson Knight, propane companies don't want to seem to deliver to my address because they all want to put a 250 gallon tank per unit. Yep. I don't have a big enough property for that. Yep. I think 220 gallon tank should be fine. Units are 1,800. Yeah, the 120 gallon tank is completely fine for that size of a unit. Yep. Which propane companies do you use? If I can't find one, which oil or boiler would you recommend? Hold on one second, guys. And Dion will say something about playing some music right here too. We just got. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so the 120 gallon tanks are fine. I've used those a tons of times. They're fine. Oil boiler. I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't put in oil boilers. I don't put them in. I have Peerless / Baderis. I've got Wheel McLean's. I've got a bunch of them represented, but I just don't put them in. It's more about what's available. There's not a lot of stuff that's off the shelf available. I mean, you can find another propane company. Propane companies that I've used around here are DF Richard, Eastern Propane, Gagnon. They won't come out there. That's too far for them. Eastern would probably go out to Manchester. There's a bunch of them out there. Just keep on calling places until you find one, because that is not that should not be the determining factor for if you go with that system or not. Yeah. Aloha Construction. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining. I know that you're new here. I've never seen you there, but good morning to you as well. Han Solo. I love it. Morning. What's your thought on the impact of massive market shift on supply side? So I think supply is going to increase, but I think right now it's going to be welcomed, right? I think that we've had so little for so long. I think there's still going to be that gobbling up phase. I really do. I think it's still going to be a consistent thing where I don't see a lot of it coming onto market. But I think that there's going to be a lot of people that still have to evaluate and say, okay, I've refinanced in the last year and a half, which I think like 70% or 80% of mortgages have been refinanced or purchased in the last couple of years. Well, if you were at 2.5 or 3, now you're over 4. Guess what that means? It means you're getting less house. That's what it means, because pricing on houses hasn't come down yet. So I think there's going to be a lot more people that are going to have to stay because the rate is so crazy good. That's why I think a couple of years from now, sub 2 is going to be the way to go, because I think a lot of those people might have refinanced. They might have to go. The problem is that if they sell their house and it's in a recession and they're down, break even money, they can't afford to write a check to get out of that mortgage. So their better bet is to do a sub 2 and figure out something that way. So I think on the supply side, I think that there will be more supply coming. I think there's still going to be an appetite for a lot of that supply, especially for investment properties. I think the part that gets hurt is single family. That's the part that gets hurt. I think single family takes a bigger beat than duplex tries and quads. I tell you, I still think 2s, 3s, and 4s, I think, are the best asset class. And I've been saying this for 6 months. I think you got another 4 years on that process. I think you have another 4 years left on that. I really do. Because single families have gotten so expensive. I mean, I'm looking at new construction in my neighborhood now or in my towns is $500 a foot, $500 a square foot. That's insanity. That's insanity. Like even a couple of years ago, it was 300 and something bucks a foot. And now it's 500 a foot. Yeah, come on. Like who's going to afford, like you're talking 1,500 square foot houses on market for 750. And like they have a pretty facade on the outside, but they're still 1,500 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath houses or 3-bed, 3-bath houses. Like that's just nuts. So I think supply will be affected. I think supply will increase. And I think it's going to still take a while for that to become stuff that starts sitting, because there's 2 multis that hit the market today. I bet they're under by mid to end of week. There were 2 that came on last week and they were under within they were set 48 hours, because the broker literally said, I've been told I'm getting a bunch of offers. I've told everybody, hey, Monday at 5:00 is the time, or Tuesday at 5:00 is the time. And that's what they did. And I think when it was all said and done, I think they had 10 offers. They picked one and then they picked one for backup. So I think we will see more supply. I just don't think it'll be, I don't think it's going to be really that meaningful for a while. But great question, Han Solo. And I love answering the question just because your screen name is Han Solo. Favorite movie of all time? Star Wars. Favorite ship of all time? Millennium Falcon. Yep. Yes, indeed. Chris Miller. Hey, Matt, in church. Chris Miller, get back to church. Jeez. Going to watch live stream later today. Yep. First sub. Can't wait to be the first sub to your future course. Appreciate that. Can you walk through the heating system question I posted on Facebook? Yep. Many splits of electric baseboard switching from oil to gas if possible. All right, guys. So here it goes. In the Northeast, mini splits are more difficult because you have to get a special system that actually goes to what's called, I forget exactly what they call it, but it's called a sub-zero package or something like that. Basically that sub-zero package is to compete with mini splits have a hard time keeping up when it gets that cold. So there's extra things that they have to do to the system to make sure that it can keep up in areas that are that cold. I have a couple of units that are mini splits. I like them. They are expensive from the grand scheme of the place that I put one in this last year. It was 800 square foot, fully insulated, 2-bed, 1-bath house on a lake. And that was a $6,000 install, 6 or 7, right around there. So cheaper than putting in a heating system, I suppose. And we went with mini split just because of the way the way the house is constructed. It's a perfect fit for keeping it warm, keeping it cool, all that other stuff. Electric heat is always the most expensive heat. It just is. And people know that, and people will always ask, ooh, is that electric heat? And that will instantly turn off a number of potential tenants. It just does. The only time that I use electric heat is if I put it in a upstairs bedroom where I can't get the heat there easily. Then I just run a line. I have an extra heater there, but usually the first floor heat rises. It keeps it plenty warm of a temperature up there. The only reason that they ever need to turn on that electric heat baseboard piece is if it's frigid cold, then they turn that on to take the edge off. And usually that does the trick. Let's see, switching from oil to gas for a boiler. So then they do make these things called conversion burners, where you can take an old boiler system and you can change it from taking oil to taking natural gas. Natural gas is less expensive, but it has a has a higher flash point than oil, which basically means that oil, it will use less oil, but the price of oil to gas is where that equation comes into place. So if I'm starting from scratch, I am going natural gas, 95% AFUE, combi boiler, which means it does your hot water and your forced hot water for your heat and your hot water for your sinks, your dishwasher, your showers, etc. I'm going with the IBC boiler. I've done 27 of them. I will continue to do them. They are the best product on the market. In almost 6 years, we've had one failure. And we were up and going within 3 hours or 4 hours. We were back up and going because IBC creates their entire kit to service their systems, where it's all different components separated. So all you have to do is grab the component that failed after you test that it's actually dead and failed. And then you put the new piece in. And then if the part's under warranty, you send it into the company. If it's under warranty, they'll send you one back. If it's not, and then you just pay for the labor. If it's not under warranty, too bad, so sad, you pay for the price for the part. Just that simple. So that's what I would do if I'm having to switch over a whole system. The scenario that Chris actually painted was that he had a oil-based system in one unit. It's a duplex, oil-based system. One unit controls the entire, both of units' heat, and it's oil-based. My recommendation is I would, if you can't, my personal recommendation would be I would keep the one system. I would have it still servicing that one unit, and then I would do a separate system for the other unit. And then I would be looking at the costs of that. You can add a mini split for that other unit. There's so many variables there, but if that other system is in decent shape, or, has a number, it looks like it has a number of years left on it, I would keep that system. I would then basically shut off the other zones, and then I would actually put that system in. I would not be locking thermostats. I would not be doing anything of the ilk. Because if you want to truly get off of having to pay for the oil, then that's the best way to do it. Leave the oil, only have it there for that one specific unit. Look at what your conversion burner costs are, right? A lot of times that's a $2,000 to $3,000 cost to change from gas to oil, or oil to gas, excuse me. And so you can do it. You can do it on a lot of these systems. They make these things called conversion burners. But your best bet, your biggest bang for the buck is, in my opinion, if I were faced, in fact, I've been faced with this exact situation, except they both had control. They just had different zones. I actually separated it off, and I had the oil heat, or I had the one boiler that was servicing both units. I had it service one unit, and then I added a second unit to service the other unit. That way I kept this one that still had plenty of life left in it. I added one over here. That's how I then separated it. In that particular case, the second system add cost me about $6,000, I think, $7,000 for what we put in there for heat, because everything was already largely piped. It just needed some additional piping and the unit in the basement. So I think, like I said, that was a few years ago. It was $6,000 or $7,000, and the return on that capital was probably about 3 years, maybe a little bit more, based on what they were spending for heat. So a three-year payoff for me. Yeah, I'll do that. Yep. Especially just because it gives them the ability to, really separate and make each tenant take ownership of that process. Me personally, I like to convert from oil to gas. Excuse me. The biggest challenge in going from oil to gas is cost. And is natural gas available? I have 2 buildings that I want to convert. that it's not available. Well, so I have 8 buildings that I want to convert to natural gas in the next 12 months, but two of those buildings, there's no access to gas. The lines are too far up the road. So that will actually not change. Crimson Knight, on your recent deal where you added a bedroom when you went from 1,400 to 2,500, was it only because of the extra bedroom or were there other factors? So I would say part of it, I would say mostly just because I added the second bedroom. So the $1,100 increase in a month in a month, I would say that probably if it were still a single bed with what it was size wise, I could probably have gotten $1,695. So, if you want to pin it down, I'd say probably $800 of that increase was because of the second bedroom. Keith Hager, how many times have you told Ashley to circle the block and slow down? That's a great question, Keith. I will never let her drive when driving for dollars because I don't want to have an insurance claim on hitting something. So I know that Ashley prefers that I would drive when we're driving for dollars. And that's what makes her a great wife is she's like, hey, there's things that I'm better at than you. This isn't one of them. You need to do it. And I agree with her. I'm better at driving for dollars than she is. I also have no problem being rude and parking in front of somebody's house. She's very nice. She wouldn't do that. Crimson Knight. So you're waiting to go. So you are waiting to go on reservations. So I should wait to do big things like boilers until a correction. No. So for me, so again, this is one part where you have to look at portfolio size. So I've got over 100 units. So there are things that we're doing to turn units to make them nicer, but there are also projects like massive projects, what I would call, I hate the term, but we'll use it, shovel-ready projects. I've got a list of 10 or 12 projects for buildings that I own where when the economy takes a hit and there's no longer a 50-day wait, business day, or 12 weeks on windows, when there's no longer, a month on some siding products, I think a lot of the supply chain stuff will work itself out because I think that the supply is still going to be coming. I think that the demand will have changed significantly. That's what I think is going to happen. So I think there's going to be an impact to some demand when I think a lot of people are going to pucker up and stop spending when they start feeling like recession or hearing recession, or we go to war. Consumers largely pull back a little bit. And so I'm just going to be willing to wait it out. I also want to make sure that as a businessman, I want to make sure to keep the subs that have kept me, growing as a business. I want to make sure they have work too. And so I always have a list of projects that we won't do when the economy is booming because it makes no sense to do them when the economy is booming. So I also have a massive cash stockpile now. So I can wait. And I think it's just about being patient. I would do things that have to be done, things that mitigate my risk, i.e. a boiler's on its last legs. I don't want to replacing that when the boiler says I need to replace it. I want to replace that when I want to. If I'm looking to make improvements like that, yeah, I'm waiting on those types of improvements. I'm doing the things that it takes that when I get an empty unit, yeah, sure, we'll do floors, we'll do paint, we'll do some appliances, we'll do all that sort of stuff. What we won't do is we're not out there basically getting everybody out of a unit, like pushing them out saying, hey, get out now. So we can then go through and gut the entire place and redo it. Now is not the time for that. In my business, it's not the time for that. Matt Bittner, do you think being a cash buyer will get significantly easier in the next couple of quarters? Do I think being a cash buyer will get significantly easier? No. Nope. No, if you look at it, 21 or 22% of people buying homes right now, 21 or 22% are investors. Okay. Of those investors, 75% of them are cash buyers. So I don't know that a lot of those people are going to disappear, because I think that's probably a lot of institutional money. I think that might be a lot of hedge fund money or the like. Um, so I don't see it getting particularly easy. I think largely speaking, I think cash buyers have a lot of cash, right? If you're going to go spend $250,000 or $500,000 and write a check, there's a lot of cash that's been put in the market. 40% of the money that's ever been printed all time was printed in the last couple of years. So there's a lot of cash out there chasing too few assets. The reason why Wall Street, I think, is looking a lot at single family homes, and why they've bought tens of thousands of them, including stroking a check for 2,000 of them when Zillow sold 2,000 of them. I believe they sold 2,000 of them to BlackRock. I think a lot of that, I think those guys still have tons of cash. Jamie Dimon's going to have $1 trillion in cash. Warren Buffett's going to have 500 billion in cash. Like, they're going to be doing stuff with that. They're going to open up funds. I think that you can still win those deals away from cash buyers when you write a better offer. I've beaten plenty of cash buyers because I've told the agents, listen, they're going to get their money in 30 days. If they're going to get it from a cash buyer, it's going to be 14. Is 16 days to them worth a little bit less money or a little bit worse of a deal? Is it? I don't know. That's something where you can range. And do you want to keep, do you want it to be somebody that is not going to get spooked, fall away because there's some, further away investor? I'm local. And that's what I always tell them. Harry Hunter, thanks. I've used the same bank for decades and will speak with them this week. Yeah, Harry, that's awesome. See, so Harry's hit on a key point. Harry's created a relationship with his bankers and his bank. Always, before you go do something somewhere else, always have a meaningful conversation with them. You have nothing to lose. Just say, be honest. I love the relationship we have. That's why I've been here for this many years. However, I also need to be a good steward and good business person. And so because that's the case, I have to take these opportunities and look elsewhere with them if you can't give me the same level, if you can't just put me in the same spot. I'm not asking you to do better. Because that's what I told my bank. I said, I'm not asking you to do better. Tina was amazing. I didn't talk to anybody else in senior management. She took care of it. But she and I communicate so well together. I just told her this is exactly what I'm looking at. And this is one of the things that would make me look elsewhere, is because I want to be able to do these deals. And non-QM is going to make it easier on me to do those deals. And they're going to give me a 30-year fixed rate debt. And that's what I'm most concerned with at this point. And so she did an amazing job. So yeah, always talk to your banker first. Dion talk financial feed. Yeah, singing a ballad. I knew you would be singing. Good stuff. REI Stoners. Morning, Matt. Hey, good morning. I'm trying to wrap my head around concessions or seller's assistance. Can you explain? Concessions or seller's assistance. If you can give me more detail, I can happily explain it. So concessions, they can be one and the same. So it depends on how you structure the deal. So they can, you can get a price reduction on the property, right? That would be a concession. They reduce their price. If you're getting seller, or it can be converted into a seller assistance, which is instead of them reducing the value, or let's say it's a $500,000 house, they're reducing the value to $495,000. That might be okay for you, but you're just getting a mortgage on $5,000 less. Hate that strategy. The strategy I like is a seller assistance, which is the seller saying, okay, the price is still $500, but I'll contribute $5,000 towards your closing cost. That one's better because that's 5,000 real dollars, not your percentage of $5,000 of a lesser loan. Let me know if that makes sense. Nakodon, cool shirt in a store soon. Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm a wicked nut job when it comes to t-shirts. So I ordered it from like 3 or 4 different vendors and I got them all in. And I kid you not, I swear I'm not making this up. I got them all in. I wore them all. This one was by far my favorite. And now I can't find who I ordered it from. So I'm not doing it while I have the blessed health event. I'm waiting and then I'll figure it out. But golly, yeah. So this one will be the shirt that's available. It's really good. Yeah, this will be the one that's available. Crimson Knight. So last year, in November, I bought this duplex 2 1.5 and 2 1 for $350. Seller conceded 15,000. Okay, yep. Right now, house across the street, single family home under contract a week, listed at 389, maybe went over. Yep. Every day, so many people showed up to see. Showed up. Sorry, I just hit the scroll button. So many people showed up to see the house, but to your point, duplexes are definitely undervalued. Had a bigger lawn, slightly more up to date, but I could bring mine up to par with 25 grand. Yeah, and you have a second unit. Exactly. Yep, actually better because I have hardwood floors, tile versus carpet and vinyl. Yeah, I'm telling you guys, 2s, 3s, and 4s. Don't listen to me. Watch what don't listen to me. Just watch what I'm doing. If you like it, if it fits, cool. If you don't, that's okay too. My plan will not affect, or your plan or lack of action will not affect how much money I make. So I'm just out there. I'm buying 2s, 3s, and 4s. In January, I closed on a big duplex. At the end of January, I closed on another big duplex. I closed on a 3-unit the second week of March. I closed on a 6-unit the first week of March. That 6-unit is very specific, very rare in the neighborhood that it's in. And I have been driving past that house for probably 8 years. 8 years I've been driving past that house, and I've always loved this house. And I'll show you guys why after we close. I just don't talk about deals until after they close. But that place is perfect. Jerneel. Hey, Jerneel. Good morning. Morning, Matt. If average in my current market is 1%, so good being 3 or 4, great would be 5 to 7, but extremely hard to find. Yep. Would you do a good deal now or wait until Mayish for a potential better yield? Okay. I have tried changing asset classes from single family to 2, 3, 4, but even rarer. Yeah, sure. It really, I don't have a crystal ball. Dion kept it. It's too expensive to ship. Impossible to say because I have no idea what the market's going to do. So for me, I'm in the position right now where I don't have to choose. I can do a good deal and also wait for a great. Excuse me. I went to mute fast. Wow. See, I don't know how Dion does that so fast. Anyway, so it's impossible to say, Daniel. I wouldn't know what to tell you because I am doing deals now where I passed. Let's put it this way. I passed on a deal this week that was a good deal. That's what I did because I'm not having trouble finding great deals. I'm finding great deals, not very often, and with a massive network, but I am still finding great deals. So I'm not going to give up and I'm not going to do I'm not going to do a good deal, but you got to remember, here's the way to frame that. I've got 4 deals that will have closed this year. I closed 10 last year. Now, those were the deals that the last 7 that I've closed, the next 2 that I'm closing, all of those are over 20% return on capital. Those are all amazing deals. Those are all great deals. So for me, I felt okay letting a good one pass. Not saying you should do the same, but that's how I felt. So that's what I did. Keith Hager, if a neighbor is outside and you stop and talk, find out as much as you can about the unit and the neighborhood. Yep. Oh yeah, sure. Yep, sure. Yeah, I trust conversations with people far more than I trust. You know what's been really funny though? I've actually had a couple of neighbors mislead me on purpose. I knew they were doing it on purpose. They were so full of poo. They were just liars. But yeah, I've had that happen. I've had it happen both good and bad. I remember this one house, one of the ones we were moving into, saw the guy outside, beautifully landscaped. And the way that the road was done, it was a dirt road. It was off of a street, dirt road, drove down the road, beautiful landscaping. And I saw the guy and he said, "Hi, nice to meet you." What was really cool is he was kind of out. He's like, "Yeah, can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go look at the houses on the market down the street." He goes, "Oh, they put that on the market." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, sad story." And he starts telling me the whole story. Guy's name is Lee, still one of my favorite neighbors ever. Doesn't compare to the Daner, but still pretty awesome. And so Lee was fantastic. He told me everything about it. And I saw he was protective of the neighborhood. And he is like a landscaping rock star. So I always felt good. Every time I would drive by, he was out there working. It's beautiful. If he ever sells, that would have been a problem. But great neighborhood, got into it. So he told me the full story, and that based on the neighbors that were there, I was like, yeah, this is no brainer. We have to buy this house, because the neighborhood was only 3 houses. The people were fantastic. So that's what we did. And then I was able to bless them with some construction experience, and I got a bunch of work in our neighborhood done and taken care of, and stuff that they never would have done. And I carried a large portion of the cost because that was just the right thing to do. They were thrilled. So we left the neighborhood better than what we started with it. So that was a win for everybody. Invest well, smash the like button, folks. Thanks very much. Thank you for the great content. Invest well, you're very welcome. I'm happy to do this. Happy to do it. I can't believe we're already coming up on an hour. All right, I'm going to push and we're going to do a little bit longer. I collapsed on the floor. Just message on Facebook. Matt collapsed on the floor. Ashley will see it. Theta Hedge Capital, good morning. Thanks for spending your Sunday with us. I'm happy to do it. Hope all is well with the family. What are your thoughts on all-in-one washer dryers, go or no go? Great question. So I'm very interested to see how that LG stack works. I haven't tried it yet. I'm a little bit nervous because I've had LGs and they've just been garbage. In a lot of cases, LGs and Samsungs, I know Home Depot, top selling brand, blah, blah, blah. There's a reason for that, everybody. They get massive markdowns from the factory, and then they put them out there on their floors. They put them on sale, and they make the best bundles around those products. And that's why they sell so many of them. And because it's marketed mostly in Home Depot. Look at most appliance stores. They carry other brands. Just saying. They have those too, but they usually carry other brands. And so, yeah, I've just factually, I'm not telling you it's a garbage product. I'm just telling you factually, the LGs and Samsung washers and dryers I've had have had a lot more repairs. I hope that those are awesome. I hope that they're really good, because I would love to use those in a few of my units. But jury's out. The regular combined ones I don't like because they're low efficiency. They're top load water and they're just low efficiency. So the only thing that I've done is I've done like the GEs, Maytags, Whirlpools. They make the bigger units that are stackables. They make the Stack It kit, which is like $60. Those I've stacked on top of each other, but be prepared. They're very tall. I want to say they're, man, they're big. They're like 77 inches. They're tall. Yeah, they're big. So those I've had great luck with. Brands that I've had garbage luck with: Bosch, Electrolux, Samsung for washers and dryers and microwaves, LG for washers and dryers. Yep. So I would be keeping an eye on them, Theta Hedge. But if you want a solution in the meantime, just if you have enough space, Stack It kit, normal, GE. In fact, I think GE was, there was one that one that I just bought for my house because I had to replace an Electrolux. Yep. And one that I just bought for my house, and we love it. and it's got this like Santa Clean technology, which is like sanitizing clean technology, where it is impossible for there to be like mold on the rubber ring, which is usually what ends up being the problem with a lot of these front loaders. But yeah, that stackable kit crushes. It's really good. Yep, it's really good. Crimson Knight, forgot house across the street was a 4-bed, 2-bath. Yeah, I'm telling you. So I am waiting to see what the appraisal came back at. But one of the things I'm most excited about is I bought, in fact, I showed it to you guys. It's on my Instagram profile. I think it's on there. It's a beige house with brown trim. That was a 2,500 square foot single family home. It was converted from being a duplex 3 decades ago. And I bought that for 160. I put 35,000 into it. So I'm into it for 195, but I was able to convert it back to a duplex. I'm very interested to see what that project came in at, because I bought it for 160. I'm 35 into it, so 195 into it. The question is, right? I created value. The question is, how much value did I create? I'm guessing that property probably appraised for 300,000 bucks, which it was on the market for a month. A lot of people missed out on it. They just missed out. They didn't look at the zoning. They didn't look at the potential. They just saw it as, this is 2,400 square feet. It's way more house than what we need, and it needs a bunch of work. Work wasn't that bad. Really wasn't that bad. I spent 35,000, and that was doing 2 kitchens. In fact, you guys saw the before and afters of the stuff that I posted. It's on my Instagram. So at Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram, you guys got to follow me. I post things there every single day. Even in my last few days of the health event, I still post it every day. Check it out. Watch it on Instagram. Feel free to comment. I'm not fragile, but I share with you guys costs. I share with you guys project timelines. I share with you what it, befores and afters. It's all there. I can't do that much on video. I do a lot of the field stuff. You'll see those flip videos in the earlier part of my channel. And then we had a bunch more planned, and we canceled them all with Eliana's diagnosis. We'll do some of those in the summertime because I've added another dozen buildings since then. And there's stuff that we will show kind of befores and afters on. But yeah, Instagram at Lumberjack Landlord. Check it out every single day. I put stuff up there, and there's a ton of data on there I'm putting there. REI Stoners, the goal is to reduce the closing costs to put less down in total, not understanding the math. Yes. So, okay. So if you have, so let's just say it's a $500,000 house, and you get a $5,000 seller credit that brings the price of the house down to $495,000. Well, your mortgage payment, right, over a 30-year period, if you're getting 30-year fixed rate debt, your mortgage payment is only going to be maybe $7 less. It's nothing. It's who cares, so what? Okay. And that's if you take the price, if you take the reduction off the price. If you take the reduction off of what you're bringing to the table to close, i.e. a $5,000 seller credit on closing costs, well, now that's $5,000 less you have to bring to the table that you get to keep in your pocket, which is you're basically making the transition of, do I want $5,000 now, or do I want to save $8, $9, $12 a month for the next 30 years on this mortgage? Math is pretty simple, right? I would take the $5,000 off of the closing costs, put that other $5,000 in my pocket. That way I'm not bringing that to closing, instead of taking that with an adjusted mortgage, or with getting a reduced mortgage from 500 down to 495 as an example. In fact, somebody was listening. They just subscribed to me on Instagram. Very smart people. I'm telling you, I put a lot of time into that Instagram. J-Bone forever. Rock on, man. Appreciate you. All right. Let's see. Man, I can't believe how foggy I am. I have to ask one of my buddies, is this what he feels like all the time? All right. So here's a perfect example. Let's say the home value is $350. Down payment, everything else stays the same, right? Actually, we want to change that to dollars. All right, hold on. Man, math values. All right, here we go. 1,000, continue. Down payment, let's say it's 10%. Let's say it's $50,000. Continue. Mortgage 450, interest rate, we'll call it a 5% interest rate, because that's what most of those deals are going to be now anyway. 30 years, continue. No one-time expense, property taxes stay the same, PMI stay the same, homeowners insurance stays the same. Done. All right. So your payment on a $500,000 house, with a 5% mortgage and putting $50,000 down. So your mortgage is on 450 is $3,054. $3,054. Now, if I go and I change this, and all I do is I change the price of the house from $500,000 to $495,000. Done. Calculate. It's $3,024. Did I do that right? Yeah, 3,024. Oh, shoot. Wrong button. Sorry. 3,024. Yeah, 3,024. Yeah, 3,024 versus 3,054. So it's $30 a month. So the question is, would you rather save $30 a month or $5,000 all at once? So to give you an idea, if you're 30, so normally I would just do this in my head, but it's not cooperating. So 5,000 divided by $30 a month. It's 166 months is your payoff. 166 months is your payoff. That's why you take the $5,000 seller credit as opposed to a price reduction. That's the math. Let me know if that helps. PM Holbrook. Hi, PM. I'm glad you and your family are doing well. Thank you. What yield do you need to get on a duplex? I don't know what the average yield is in my current market. Where would I find this out? So you have to build your spreadsheet exactly the same way. And what you do is you just account for what are rents in units like that. And I wouldn't compare the rent to a single family house. You have to compare the rents to a duplex. So it's going to be work to put it together. But you look at the duplexes, you look at what rents are for duplexes. So I would be looking online to see what stuff is available. If it's in a duplex, if it is in a duplex, then that is then start figuring out and kind of roughing the math, right? Which is, is it a 3-bed, 2-bath? Is it a 2-bed, 1-bath? Is it a 4-bed, 2-bath? You have to build out your spreadsheet exactly the same way. The difference is that in a lot of markets, like our market, so for a single family house in our market, 3-bed, 2-bath, those are renting for 25, 26. A 3-bed, 2-bath duplex unit is renting for 22.50. So I'm taking $300 less on my unit, but I've got 2 of them. And my house didn't cost twice as much. It might have cost 20 or 30% as much. That's where I believe asset wise, that's why I believe 2s, 3s, and 4s are drastically undervalued. Let me know if that helped. Jerneil, what metric factor do you use for determining if you should flip or rent out a property? I hate flipping. I don't flip. I flip when the numbers are ridiculous. Okay. Because when I'm doing the work, I'm doing everything right, the right way, exactly the way it should be done, where it's going to last for 20 years. A lot of flippers don't do work like that. That's how I do work, because I'm keeping the building. So I don't want stuff to break. So when I'm gutting a house and redoing the whole entire thing, guess what? it's like almost a new house. I don't have calls for 5 to 8 years until stuff starts, like a water tank or something like that, or a refrigerator or a stove or a dishwasher. So I don't flip. The only time that I've flipped was when I looked at a building that I had bought for 250. I put 70 into it. So I was into it for 320. The market on the building was 550 or 575. And my only option was if I cash out refi, I would only get about 70,000 bucks cash back in my pocket, plus what I put into it. So I'd be 140 into pocket. Instead, I was able to 1031 out. Because I 1031'd out, I got all 550. And I didn't have closing. I only had transfer taxes. I didn't have actual closing costs because I sold it off market. It was a pocket deal. And so instead of walking with 140, I walked with like 303 or something like that. So I don't like flipping. The only reason I did with that one was because I was going to leave $150,000 in capital behind in that deal. Didn't want to leave that much. And with what the market was, I was like, fine, I'll take it. Funny thing is, joke's on me, not really though, but it went to, that house is worth 600 now, maybe 6.25. Just is. It's worth 600 to 6.25 in a year. In a year. But I'm okay with that because I already took that 300 and I bought 3 more things, and it generates me far more cash than that property ever would have. I love cutting closing costs, raise the price by 10,000, wanted a seller to pay 15,000. Yeah, love that strategy. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Part of your strategy should always be over ask. Well, in this market, it's always for me been over ask and then get them to contribute to closing. Usually there's a cap on what they can contribute. It's usually 3.5% of the overall value of the deal. So you are capped at what they can offer back. But again, try to come to the table with as little as possible. That's always the goal. Try to keep as much as you can. One second. Yeah, I'm really bad at multitasking. That's one thing I recognized. Well, in my current state. Man, brutal. Rob, I'm listening from my attic while installing a stove hood vent. Oh, good for you, Rob. Oh, better you than me. At least it's warm up there. Crimson Knight did that on my last deal. Yeah, it's a great move. Oh, Crimson Knight, check out you do Nashua. I got a deal info about Nashua. I thought of you this morning when I got this one. NH Home Buyers. Go to their website, NH Home Buyers, multifamily in Nashua. I'm one of the buyers on their list, but it's a 3-unit. NH Home Buyers LLC. NH Home Buyers. I bought stuff with them before. They're really good. Nice husband and wife team. They're basically they're wholesalers, but they have a 3-unit in Nashua. That's not for me. So I'm happy to pass it on to anybody that's watching that wants to do something in Nashua. Janelle Diaz, I've been anti-Instagram for a decade since I'm not a social media guy, but just letting you know, I will now open an account just to follow you. Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Janelle. And just so you guys know, interest of full disclosure, I hate Instagram. The only reason I'm on it is for this channel. That's it. You won't find any personal accounts. I hate social media. I only do it because I know that people follow either Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. That's the only place you'll see me put stuff out. And it's really just for you guys. I hate all social media. I hate it. It's only there to help people. Got the black lung pup. I know Rob knows that reference. I would think anyway. All right. Pam, Matt, thanks, Matt. That's helpful. Oh, good. I'm glad, Pam. Awesome. Yeah, that spreadsheet is a little bit of a bear because there's usually not. So here's the good thing. There's usually not a lot of inventory. It's tough to build out. I don't even have one anymore. I don't even know where the one that I used was. it was because I learned the market so well that I could just do it in my head. And so, yeah, I think that's what we're going to see, especially where there's towns that had these like old historic towns that had these massive houses that they let break them up into multiple pieces in the 70s and 80s. And then, you know, now we're seeing in some of these towns, so like Portsmouth, New Hampshire, they're literally like gutting these places and doing 2 condos, and then they're selling the condos for $1.3 million, which is a side of a house. Now, my call 15 years ago, 15 years ago in 07, my call 15 years ago was that I believed that there would someday that our city would reach that same number, because we're just we're just one town north, and it used to be over a 2-lane bridge. Now that bridge is 4 lanes on both sides. That's what I do. So I was investing ahead of everybody, or a lot of people anyway. And that's one of the things that helped make me very successful, was that bridge opening up, which I knew was coming, and all of the other factors that I've already listed about the cities that I look at. But now we have stuff where people are selling sides of duplexes. They're not selling for that much, but they're selling for 400 and 450. 10 years ago, you could buy that whole building for 180. So they're moving. And who knows, maybe that stays true. Maybe it doesn't. I really don't care, because I'm all about the rents. But if it's 800 to buy it, it's 5,000 a month to rent it. It doesn't matter to me. I started renting those at 1,600. My cost basis, 30-year fixed rate debt. So yeah, hopefully I get to 5,000 a month for rents. Looks like I'm making triple my money. Actually, triple my rent. Not even triple my money, triple my rent. Because at that point, my cost basis was $1,000. Kip Stevens, good morning, Matt. A little late to the party. Hope all's well with the family. Thanks, Kip. I appreciate that. So we have the Blessed Health event currently in our house. So that's why I'll be cutting it short today. I'll go for another 18 minutes, then I'm going to tap out. It's funny. I'm getting tired literally just sitting here talking. It's kind of funny when you know you're out of shape or have the great health event. What are your thoughts on tankless water heaters compared to the traditional tank water heaters? Thank you for everything you do. Kip, you're welcome. So I love IBCs, tankless, but I like them combied. I like the combination of the forced hot water system and the tankless hot water heater. Huge fan. I've got 27 of these units. I think it's 27 now. I love them. They are extremely reliable for me. I'm a huge fan of them. A brand new install of that costs me $15,000 to $16,000 if I have to do all the baseboard. If I only have to swap the unit from one forced hot water system to another one, or to this one, it's usually between 8 and 9. But I don't love normal tankless like Renai's. There were a bunch of them out there. Oh, Bosch was a big one, man. Bosch. There were a number of them out there that were getting heavily discounted because there were companies literally around here that offered the rebates and the whole 9 yards, installed them. 3 years later, they're service nightmares and they're literally yanking them out. So IBC, I've not had any of those problems with. I've had literally, of all of my boilers, I've been doing them for about 6 years. And I've installed some every single year. And we just had our first part death, which I think was a fan. The plumber was there that day, diagnosed that the fan was dead, replaced the fan because you can get the parts right in the box, did a hot swap right there, up and running. You can't beat that service. And that's because design. Kudos to the engineers. They crushed it. That's a great product. Love that product. J-Bone forever. Hey, Matt. Hey, J-Bone. How much value have you noticed adding a washer dryer in the unit has added to your monthly rent? I want to turn a small office into a laundry room, but not sure if it's going to be worth it. So J-Bone, I don't know yet, but I did that. It cost me 10 grand to convert that room. $10,000 is what it cost me to convert that room. Between insulation, running water pipe, running drain pipe, putting in flooring, re-sheet rocking the room. It cost me 10 grand. Now I'm putting coin ops in there. It's a 6-unit building. I'm putting a coin op washer and dryer. I'm putting 2 of each in there. I also own 3 other buildings within 2 blocks of this building. I'm going to tell tenants that's where you can go do laundry and you'll get the tenant rate, which will be less than the laundromat. So I don't know yet, but I will know. I will know by the end of the summer what that's looking like. I'm very excited because quite frankly, I could have very easily just lit $10,000 on fire. I don't know. Could have happened, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure. So I can give you more information. I haven't done it before. So this is my first foray into it. And it was just because I have a commercial property that has 12 units that has 2 washers and 2 dryers in it, both coin ops. And that's become a fun thing for myself and for my son and my daughter. When we would go and empty the machine and just pour out all the quarters. And they're just like, it's sweet tart money. It's sweet tart money. And I'm like, if you ate that many sweet tarts, you would die. So we'll use some of it for sweet tarts. And then we go get some sweet tarts. For some reason, they're very passionate about the sweet tart. I think it's because we did it as a treat when we would leave breakfast, when they would behave well. We'd give them each 1 quarter and then let them turn the machine and get 6 sweet tarts. And then we would ration the sweet tarts over the course of the day. Yeah, that was one of their special Sunday treats. Crimson Knight. I wish I had the money. Yep, I am out of the game for 1 to 2 years, but thanks anyways. Yeah, no multifamily on the MLS for Nashua right now. Crazy market. Yeah, it's a crazy thing, right? Is that people aren't even willing to put it to market. They're just immediately working to deal with a wholesaler. What the heck? Well, here's the crazy thing, Crimson Knight. Triplex. Guess how much? And don't look it up if you're going to guess. But still going to work. Yep, still doing work every day. Yeah, you got to keep on doing it every day. Kip Stephen, Crimson Knight, where are you located? Yep. Nice. Okay. Shamir. Good day, Matt. Hey, Shamir. Good to see you. How do you file your taxes with a trust? Do you pay a yearly fee like an LLC? What form you have to file before your personal taxes? So our trust, so we only file once a year. It's just like our personal income. We send everything to the accountant and then he takes care of everything. I have no idea. We lean on our tax guys for that. But we have all the properties in the trust. I have my W-2, and they take care of it. That's it. We give them all the information. We literally don't hand them a cigar box. We hand every property's scheduled and expenses and everything that would happen for that improvements, everything for each property. And then I hand them my W-2, and then that's it. And then I sign the return. So yeah, it's just once a year. I don't know anything about LLCs because I don't have one. Well, I do. So I do have one, but I don't do any business with it, if that makes sense. Crimson Knight, but I will pass this info on to Pork looking to move. Yeah, I'm telling you, I think it's a really good deal. So if 300, it's only 304. That seems super. I don't know the Nashua market at all, but 100 a unit seems like crazy dirt cheap. I mean, I'm sure it needs work, but isn't Nashua trading at like 100.5 a unit in a 3-plex? I would think so. I mean, Dover's trading north of that, Somersworth is probably trading about that. Dover just traded at 175 a unit on the most recent 3-plex that just sold. There's another 3 that just got put on the market. If that sells, that's trading at 175 a unit. Smaller units. So Matt, when you sell, do you use a 1031 exchange? Yes. Every time. Always 1031. Yep. Yeah. Yep. I use a 1031 every time because I don't want to pay. I'm only selling it to put money into other assets. I'm only selling it to buy something else. So what I've usually done is I've better choreographed it. I'm going to have Chris Brown on when I get better, probably next couple of weeks. Chris Brown is a phenomenal 1031 exchange specialist. It's all he does. He's a 1031 exchange attorney, period. So doesn't do anything else. He does 1031s. So he knows how to perfectly set them up, draft them, create them, manage them. Spectacular to work with. And I think he does almost everywhere around the country. He does a lot of places. So yeah, guess the prices. Yeah, so duplex is 241s around 400, so somewhere around 500 depending on the beds and baths. Yeah, so beds and baths, it's still cheap. I think inexpensive is what I meant to say. It is I hate that they don't put more data in there. Oh, click to view more. There we go. Different link. It is it's 2 2s and a 1. It's 2 2s and a 1. Yeah, duplexes are a different game. Duplexes will always appraise more per unit because like the duplexes I just bought, they were 250 a side. Yeah. Duplexes will always appraise for more because you can buy them with different debt. Right. So you can buy a duplex with 20% down debt as an investor, a triplex, you're instantly 25, if not 30. So it's always about the debt on the other side and the exit. Yep. At Kip Stevens, NH. Yep. But I do Manchester and Nashua mainly because of where my job is located. Yeah. Yep. Matt Bittner. Zinc, vitamin C, and staying hydrated will help with the sickness. Yes. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So I'm on it. I'm on all that and a few other things too. B12 and magnesium as well. Yeah. I'm on all that stuff. Yeah. A lot of it. A lot of it. Yeah. Yep. Thankfully / unthankfully, my mother-in-law had it, I don't know, 6 months ago. And she kind of had a regimen that she put together and she got through it pretty quick. So kind of following that. I just have to dose up because she's not quite my size. She's like probably less than half of me. But yeah, for sure. I'm on it. But yeah, thank you. Kip Stevens. Love the hat, being a big boomstick fan. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to work with a sponsor because I like these guys, but they pay me nothing to wear their hat. It's just a nice hat. But I'm trying to get a sponsor. I've got kind of 4 or 5 in mind that I'd like to get, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I need to get more subscribers before that happens. Anything I can get out of subs, anything I can get out of a vendor is always preferred because it helps offset cost. Because I'd prefer to deliver everything to you guys for free. But a lot of this stuff costs money, shockingly, not just time. Yeah, so currently, so the price is, yeah, so it's only 300, which is only 100 a unit. Even with 221s, it's still pretty cheap if you figure out what you're getting for rents, right? So yeah, I think the thing's probably worth, if I had to guess, it probably has an ARV of around 450. So it'll go for over what they're asking for, but I think somebody could find a decent deal. Cassidy Ironman. Hey, Cassidy, regarding Instagram, you, Mike, and Dion are literally the only people I follow. LOL. Is Dion even on Instagram? I think he might be, but I don't think he does anything on it. Either that or I just missed him. Because if he's on there, I'd follow him. I follow Mike. Is a triplex on a tree street or in French Hill? Dude, no idea. I don't think it has an address here. Yeah, no idea. I don't think they disclose that on purpose. I think because the only way that you can get on that list, the only way you can get on that list is if you are qualified on their list. I qualify to be on their list. I don't know what the qualifications are anymore. Oh, here it is. Worcester Street, 5658 Worcester Street. I don't know Nashua at all. That was never part of the expansion plan. Is Worcester Street a good or bad area, Crimson? Because I honestly don't know. Blue Jay 1879. Hey, Blue Jay 1879. New to the channel. I was going to say your information is new. Super, super pumped to have you here. Sorry for the low energy. I'm dealing with the great sickness. We're trying to make it through. We'll make another few minutes. Do you have any mobile home units? I don't. Are there challenges with those that are different from single family homes? There are. So I don't own any mobile homes. I would buy a park. I wouldn't buy an individual mobile home. A lot of times there's rent restrictions in those parks, or subletting restrictions in those parks. And also it can be very difficult to get a loan on a mobile home. I think I want to say if it's over 20 years or over 30 years, it's impossible to get a loan because they believe that they're end of life. So even though there's mobile homes out there that are still on, still deployed and being used and lived in the whole 9 yards, even though all that stuff is happening, it's nearly impossible. In my other life, one of my largest clients was Conseco Finance, and they were the largest at the time. They were the largest financer of mobile homes. So other than that, I don't know. So I'm not the right guy for you. Fixes it and repairs. Yeah, I got it. But general math, but on rules and regs on mobile home parks, it's just the few things that I shared with you. That's really all I know. Those are the main things that I would look at. And a number of them around us are 55 plus communities as well. So that might be something you want to watch out for too. Crimson Knight 350 is still a killer deal, right? I thought so. Yeah. Yep. 1200 or the one bed and 16. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Janet Santiago, Matt, where do you buy your stove and dishwashers? Yep. What brands do you usually buy? So I usually buy them from an appliance store, one that I have a relationship with, that I forged a relationship with after I got tired of dealing with the idiot big boxes. And all their excuses and delays and, $16 an hour employees that don't care to get me the answer. The only reason I say the $16 an hour piece is because that was the entry-level job there. They just didn't care what the answer was. They didn't care about getting me the right answer. They didn't care about following through. It is much more about the person, but that person will largely be in that position forever because they just don't care what the end result is. They're clock punching. So what I like about, I actually looked around, talked to a bunch of different appliance places, and then found one where I had the owner call me back. The owner called me back. We had a great conversation, and he has not failed me yet. And so I know the owner. And so it's very easy. And what has he been blessed with in the last 90 days? He's been blessed with $27,000 of orders for appliances. It's kind of worked out for him, right? And my only thing that I ask is please just don't make me play retail. Like, figure out something for me. I'm not trying to eat you alive, but I'm also the easiest return customer you're going to have. I pick up the phone. I go, I need 3 microwaves and I need 2 dishwashers. He goes, okay, what brand are you thinking? What do you have in stock? That's my first question now. What do you have in stock? And then I pick from that. Usually GE, Maytag, Whirlpool. GE, Maytag, Whirlpool. Usually those are my 3 brands. GE, yep. Maytag, yep. Whirlpool. Trying to think if there's another one. Nope. Those are the ones that we're doing the most now. Yep. We've not had any issue with the GE stuff. Tia, talk financial freedom. I'll be more active on Insta Sunday, but not today. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss that Dion had some like secret Insta feed out there that I was like, because I looked for him and I was trying to, and he's nowhere there. He doesn't do anything on Insta. If you only knew how easy it was to use, dude. Come Come on, Dion, get an Insta account. Start posting stuff on Insta. You post it on Facebook. You can literally, it's like one button and it can just pass through. Anyway, Janelle, other than changing the expected rental income, is there any other criteria I should account for on my buy box going from single families to 2, 3s, and 4s? Yeah, expenses. It depends. Still, you still have all the same expenses, but you now, from a maintenance perspective, I guess if your percentage rolls up, I think you're probably still fine. Because like in a duplex, tri, or quad, you could have 2, 3, 4 boilers. You could have 4 hot water tanks. You could have, right? And so instead of having 1, you have 4 of everything. You have 4 refrigerators. You have 4 stoves. So that's something to think about. But if your numbers are increased, right, then the likelihood is going to be that your percentage that you've selected for maintenance is going to follow that. So you should be okay there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And forgive me, it's been years since I've done a spreadsheet because I just got to the mark where I knew it so well where I don't even have to track stuff anymore because I'm in there every single day. But learning it is a different story. You still definitely want to have a spreadsheet. You still definitely want to track everything. But I'd be interested in your feedback, Janelle, if you find that there's something where you're like, oh yeah, this seems to be an outlier. The biggest thing to remember is one of the things that most people forget, being a landlord of 106 units like I am right now means one thing. I own over 400 appliances. Think about that. 400 appliances. I have a fridge in every unit. I have a stove in every unit. I have a microwave in every unit. And some units have dishwashers. A lot of them do. And some have washers and dryers. So that's how I have 106 and I have 400 and something appliances. I forget, we counted it up a little while ago. Oh yeah, it was like 430 or 440 or something like that. Because we do have a lot of dishwashers too. So yeah, so I own over 400 appliances. So when you're having that conversation, right, with the appliance store, if you've got 5 units, right, tell them, hey guys, I have 30 appliances. They'll pay attention to you because their typical customer, 98% of their customers are going to have 3, 4, or 5. Right. And so we don't, if you've got a fridge, washer, dryer, microwave, stove, dishwasher, 6. Most homeowners are going to have 6, but they're not going to have more. Right. And so, yeah, it's just, that's something I think that's unique. Worcester is French Hill area. So bad. Yes. Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah. I don't know Nashua at all. So is 300 a bad deal? Because my thought is I would do, if it's a bad area, likely a majority of the renters are probably housing or housing/Section 8. So is it worth at least looking at the number and carrying the Section 8 number in what your rents are going to be? Because this is one of the things that I think is the biggest mistake. So I just got notified by a tenant that they're leaving because I raised their rent from $1,100 to $1,800 because that's what Section 8 says I can raise it. So she said, yeah, we're leaving. Okay, I understand. $700 a month was the difference. $700 a month, $8,400 a year. Section 8's going to pay it. I don't care if they pay it or, it's not an extra tax on the person. They already have the program. I'm going to get that rent because that's what Section 8 will pay. And so they're deciding to leave. I don't want to see them go, but that's fine. I'll find another tenant at $1,800 instead of $1,100. So that's where in some of those areas, I would start looking at just what the housing voucher gives. That's me. Cassidy Ironman, you ever thought of buying the entire mobile home? Yes. The entire mobile home park? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I had a deal. that we started working on, and somebody big came in, swooped it up, and wrote a check. So it just killed the deal. But I was interested. We were starting the conversations. Blue Jay 1879. Thanks for the info. You are welcome. Appreciate you asking the question. Still Section 8 would pay 4,800. So yeah. See, yep. Crimson Knight, same page. Yep, same exact page. Yep. Shamir Bless, what are the rates you were quoted this week for real estate investing? 4.25 30-year fixed. Hasn't gone up again yet. It's cheap. It's cheap. Shh, don't tell my bank. I need a break with like having the blessed health event and everything I got going on. We already have 2 more closing. If it's the deal of the decade, I'm in. But like I passed on a good deal this week. It was a good deal. I'm just like, I can't. I know I'll drive past the property and regret it, but I'll just be like, I remember that's when I had the great blessed health event and everything else going on. And so I had to pass on this one. A little painful. Yeah. Let's see. Cassidy Ironman. That's part of what makes Dion so easy to follow. That's so true. He's a phenomenal teacher. Like I almost want, like when he comes out, I'm gonna have him try and teach me how to drive a big rig. I've driven everything else. I've never driven like a 12-speed big rig, but I've driven pretty much everything else. I think he's a phenomenal teacher. I really do. I'm the hits like Manny Ramirez, but teaches like Manny Ramirez guy. I'm a horrible teacher. I can only tell you my experience and how I evaluate things. I am not a good teacher. I just try and share with you experiences. That's the best I can do. Jan Santiago, I like your t-shirt. Are you selling lumberjack t-shirts? Oh, thanks. Yes, so I love it. Thank you. So Don asked a little bit earlier. We are going to make them available. I ordered them from 4 different companies, fell in love with this one with how it feels. I'm going to have them available, but as soon as I can figure out, I don't like the other 3. I love this one. I just have to remember who actually made this one, because I can't figure out who made this one. And I got to find that out, or I have to just reorder them all again. But yeah, that's what the plan is. So yeah, we'll have t-shirts for you guys for sure. Shamir, in Mass, you don't have to provide appliances. I don't know. Possible. I mean, in New Hampshire, I don't think you have to either. I just do it because, especially on washer and dryer, water is extremely expensive in my cities. Extremely expensive. So I always want I don't want them picking a fridge that has water in the fridge, because those lines tend to freeze and break. And they're usually compression fittings that they're compression fitting into my line. So I don't like them buying fridges for that reason. I don't like them buying washers and dryers. The main reason, they're usually buying the cheap ones that are nice, new and pretty looking, but they aren't high efficiency. They use more electricity, which might be on them, but they use a ton of water. Water is where it can get you. You can literally spend 40 to 50 bucks more a month in water between a low efficiency and a high efficiency washer. So that's why I don't on washers and fridges. Stoves, I suppose, will be fine, but if I'm already doing the other ones, I want everything to match and be bought around the same time, ideally. And so then we can service them and that sort of thing. And then I just like my brands, right, that I know are fixed, that I know can be fixed, and it can be fixed quickly. Matt Bittner, have you ever researched if building a duplex to a fourplex makes sense if you're going to live in one of the units? So Dawn, No Code On is doing that. It really depends on the area, price per foot. The stuff that's building around me right now is 500 a foot, which would make a 750 square foot, 2-bedroom unit, a fourplex, 3,000 square feet. I mean, you're looking at over $1 million to build that. And they're not handing out those permits very easily. Those are pretty hard pieces of land to find. Yeah. Yeah. So Matt, it's really localized. I would run the numbers. I would ask. So if you had like a set of plans or something like that you found online, or you can even call some builders and say, hey, I'm interested in a fourplex, what would be your guys' price per square foot? And you would have to tell them, land clearing, excavation, basically from raw land to completion, and get their price per square foot. Then you have to worry about the road to it. That's a big thing. I passed on a project because the road cost was $1 million. And I was gonna have $1.5 million into the project, and the high side was 1.8. I was like, $1.5 million with no cost overruns? No freaking way. No way. Because most of it was going to have to be done with cash. And I was like, I don't even have that cash. So no way. Let's see. I am thinking, yeah, Dion does want that price point. And that's probably what it would cost him to build it in his area. Yeah. I mean, especially just outside Seattle. Yep. I am thinking of moving all of my properties to Section 8, especially my new quads. They will pay $6,400 a month. So I would look at that, Don, but I would still do your same credit scoring and all that stuff. They do stick for longer. So here's my experience with Section 8 so far. I've not even done it a year. I know that most of them will renew. I know that they are 10% of my head count, 10% of my tenant count, and they are 80% of my phone calls. And they moved into units that were not brand new to me. Other people lived there before. They call a lot about every little thing. So maybe they won't for you because it's a brand new property. I don't know how they are at taking care of a property. I can tell you that a couple of them were really rough on a property that they were in for a couple of years. It was a building that I bought that they left, and they were really rough on the unit. That was just my experience so far. Section 8 in Nashua, Studio 11, 1, 12, 2 is 16. Yeah, wow. 3, wow, 4 is 22. Yep, these are minimum numbers I use. Yep, because my duplex in an OAK area. Yep, you can 23. Yep, exactly. Yep, 2,300 for the 4-bedroom because I'm updating it. Yep, exactly. Don, past thinking, actual moving my stuff to guaranteed rents. Yeah, I've got some. The t-shirt tag should tell you, yeah, it's a Hanes. That's the issue, is that I like the Hanes t-shirt. I just am trying to find who I bought. This was the base of the t-shirt, and then they printed this on. So yes, that's exactly what I'm hoping to do. But there was different Hanes versions. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I definitely will do it though. Crimson Knight. So during the next recession, is my Nashua property screwed because it is in an okay area and it will become a bad area? I hope not, since I think they're nice condos up on the tree streets that are going to hurt. Yeah, I don't think it's not a quick transition, if you will. And if it was like, if it's a C now and it was a D 15 years ago, no. If it was a D 3 years ago, I'd be a little bit nervous. But yeah, it's impossible to say. It's the ones that are transitional neighborhoods. It's if it's transitioned in just the recent years. I think where yours is a little bit unique is that you're in a neighborhood with a bunch of other like singles and dupes, not tris and quads. And that's usually where that higher density, usually where that becomes more of an issue because there's more people on the housing stuff there. And that's usually the neighborhoods that transition and roll back. Just what my experience has been. My property in Nashua is similar to Pearl Street in Manchester. Okay, yeah. So I didn't have any experience when things rolled back in that area. That was not the property that hurt me. It was the one that I had over on Bartlett that killed me. Yeah, that thing rolled back and rolled back hard. Pallavi, good morning. Good morning. Marisha, hi Matt. I'm interested to know your thoughts on replacing water filtration systems in hard water areas and what type you would use. That is a great question. I've only done that once and I don't remember the name of the system. I can look. It was expensive though. I want to say it was about $4,000. It was expensive. It was a whole like tube tank setup thing. It was worth it. It was the best water I ever had after that. It was a 300-foot well. 300-foot well, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. So I'll take a look and see if I got no code on. Wow, maybe I might rethink that again. I had one Section 8 tenant and I never heard from her until she moved out. Yeah, and here's the thing. That can happen, but across the board, this is what my numbers are showing. That's what my numbers are showing. And I'm a slave to my data. Yeah, 80% of my phone calls, 10% of my tenants, units, 10% of my units, 10% of my units, 80% of my phone calls right now in the last month. Now, will it die in the last 90 days? Will it die down in the next 90 days after they get more acclimated? Yes. But some of the things that they're requesting are a little bit ridiculous. Like I really like if you would upgrade the kitchen. Well, I'd like to walk out to my Lamborghini tomorrow and not have to do any of the work to pay for it. But the kitchen's fine. It's functional. It's a nice kitchen. It's just not my granite and all this other stuff. That's not what was in the budget to do that unit. So yeah, that's what it is. All right, folks. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'm going to go lay on the couch. I feel so bad. Yeah, it's awesome. So have a great rest of your week. Hopefully I'll be on Tuesday with Mike. I hope. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Had a lot of fun with you today. Appreciate the break. And then on your way out, if any of this was helpful to you, hit that like button if any of this was helpful to you. And follow me on Instagram. I got a ton more stuff coming out this week on projects that we're working on. So we'll continue to keep on bringing you the info on Instagram. So appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great week. And thanks so much for joining. Take care, guys.